Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another GTA 6 video. My name is Saintsfan, and today I wanted to talk about the map. Because if you have Googled anything regarding GTA 6's map, odds are you have seen this mapping project's map. I've showcased this multiple times on my channel, but you probably have seen this elsewhere. The problem is this map is wrong. Kind of. But in this video, I want to just go over why I say this map is wrong and explain just really everything we know so far about GTA 6's map after trailer 2. And one of the big reasons why I did want to make a separate video on this topic is because of this recent leak that came out a few days ago. You can click the link at the top right. I made a whole video on it. But there was a leak and they talk about a couple of things like that the GPS at the moment, it's a rectangle with pink waypoints. We'll see how accurate that ends up being. But as far as the other stuff, if we just scroll down a bit right here, the map is once again an island, as well as there being no panhandle. And I've seen some really cool concepts like this one right here that actually doesn't have the map as an island. Like there's a northern border part up here. But apparently that's not going to be the case. It's going to be an island like normal. And going back to the map here, they're saying this leak is saying this panhandle up here isn't going to be there. Now, of course, look, before we dive any deeper, this leak here, take it with a grain of salt. This is all coming from a source that gave this guy information on Jason and Lucia's last names that ended up being accurate. Then once trailer 2 came out, then this same source decided to just spill the beans on a bunch of other stuff. So some of it could be real, some of it could be fake, who knows, but there is some credibility simply because of the last name thing. But let's talk about that panhandle, because initially a couple years ago when one of the first iterations of the mapping project came out, there was no panhandle. I think this right here, this is one of the really early versions. I'm pretty sure this was only based off of the 2022 leaks. This was before trailer 1, is obviously before trailer 2. So it's very basic. Then of course we have the most up-to-date version, which isn't up to date like with everything just yet. Apparently the guy who is making this, Dupzor, here's all the people, if it loads, here's all the people that are working on it. But this guy, the main guy, apparently he's been sick, so he hasn't updated this in a few weeks because at the moment, they pretty much know most of Ambrosia and they know a lot more of Port Gellhorn and some of the other places on this map. It's just not updated on this version here because again, the guy's been sick. So hopefully the next, couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks, we'll get an updated version that we can take a look at. And more than likely, they're going to end up removing the panhandle. And if you're wondering why there is a panhandle, like why they decided to add the panhandle, I think it was from the leaks. So I can't show it. Maybe it's from trailer 1. I forget exactly where, but a very, very minor scene, like super far away, there was a sign that looked like this real life sign. It was a highway sign. It had a number and it also had an outline of a Florida shaped, map, island, whatever. That, from what I could tell, is one of the main reasons why they added the panhandle here to the map. And one thing I do want to point out here, because for whatever reason, people can't read or don't want to read or don't look too deep into it. There is a lot of speculation on this map. And this is really the main thing I wanted to just get across here. Anything that's in red is speculative. They do have a yellow speculative metro railway as well as a normal railway. And then the border, if it's orange, it's speculated. And if it's dotted orange, it is highly speculated. And if we just zoom in here, it's gonna be a little laggy. Like the entire border of this map is highly speculated because we don't know. We haven't seen, Rockstar have not shown us anything from like the north of the map specifically. But even going further on this right-hand side, like most of this stuff is just pure speculation. Once we get into like the city, once it turns black, once these lines do turn black or dark green, whatever that color is, then that is pretty much confirmed. But yeah, you can see there's a lot of red, there's a lot of orange on this map. That's all speculation. So really, that's why I said at the beginning that this map we're looking at is wrong. Like, yeah, the city may be right, but the entire map is wrong because we don't know. Now, what is interesting is on this website here, we can actually overlay a map of literally just everything we know. No speculation, nothing. I don't know. This map was updated on the 25th of May, so a couple of weeks ago. I don't think it has everything. Like, if we just zoom in here, it doesn't have the Ambrosia area just yet, even though we've seen some pictures of it. I don't think like all of the Keys area is filled in yet, but it just goes to show, even if it's not fully updated just yet, how much of that, you know, background map there is speculated. Like, if we do just turn that off, really, we only know of the city over here on the right, and then obviously the Vice Beach area. We obviously know that there's the Keys down here in the south. We do have Lake Leonida, which we'll get to in a moment. We'll take a look at some of the screenshots that Rockstar put out. And then over here on the left is Port Gellhorn. So like, we know a general idea of where things are. We just, again, don't know how they're going to look. It's not going to look like this map that everyone, myself included, has been sharing. Now, here we have a really cool little depiction of the IRL Florida Panhandle, sort of tilted and angled down on the west coast of the Florida, of this Leonida map. Apparently, a lot of the buildings in GTA 6 in Port Gellhorn, they are based on IRL buildings from Panama City. So if Port Gellhorn is Panama, and then I guess down here we have Cedar Key in real life. That's apparently very similar to Watson Bay, one of the screenshots we saw. What Rockstar might be doing is, instead of having an actual panhandle, the whole west side of Leonida will just be the panhandle of Florida. Because if I do go back to the map, one thing that I did see some people talk about, and I think it makes a lot of sense, if this panhandle was true, there is a significant chunk of this map down here below the panhandle where there is literally nothing. And I just don't think that's a great map for a game, just having a giant thing of nothing, because of course that would be like the Gulf of Mexico area, and there's nothing really out there. Like, at least if it was on the right hand side, you have the Bermuda Triangle and some of the Caribbean islands, even though I know they are further down south, but there's nothing in the Gulf of Mexico. So it does make sense that they chop this panhandle off and it'll just be a, you know, a normal square, rectangle, whatever type of map. And if you have never seen this before, this is one of the reasons why these community made maps are so valuable. This was GTA 5's map before the game launched. This is what the community back then had come up with. That is almost perfect. So as we do get some more information, as this map does get updated, it will start to look more and more like it, like the actual map once the game comes out. It's just at the moment we don't have enough information, and it is a little misleading using this map and saying that's what GTA 6 is going to look like, because really pretty much anything above this lake and above Port Gellhorn we have no idea about. We have no idea how far the map extends north. We have no idea how far Mount Calaga, I mean, that's really the only northern part we know. We have no idea how far north that is. Is that going to be one of the borders? Like, is that just going to be on the coast up here, I guess, if it's an island map? We don't know. Speaking of the GTA 5 map, I wanted to showcase this. It's not like a scientific perspective here, but from what we know, the GTA 6 map will be about 2 to 2.5 times the size of GTA 5's map. And that's kind of what this scale is. Obviously, it's using the Panhandle version. More than likely, that's going to get cut off. But yeah, that's what you're looking at. About 2 to 2.5 times the size of the GTA 5 map, which honestly is pretty big, right? That's a pretty big area. And I did just want to go through some of the screenshots Rockstar gave us just to give us an idea of what some of these cities are going to look like. Because at the moment, we all know of Vice City. Matter of fact, here is the postcard view of that. This is the big city. This is going to have all the skyscrapers. This is going to have all of, you know, the modern tech and all that sort of stuff. The fancy cars, the yachts, I guess, like you can see. The other two cities, though, we have Port Gellhorn, which is this one. And then we also have Ambrosia. And we'll start with Port Gellhorn. Unfortunately, this is really the only shot we got of Port Gellhorn, of the actual like city part. Rockstar are really keeping their cards close to their vest with this particular city. This allegedly is supposed to be the second biggest city in the game. But as we can see here, it's on a bay. You can see the water there. You can also see some industrial parts of it. It doesn't look like there's going to be big skyscrapers, or it's not going to be like a big-ish city like Vice City. Now, it's still a pretty gigantic area, but I did know a lot of us were hoping that Port Gellhorn would be like another major city. And it doesn't necessarily look like that's going to be the case, because there's not really like many big business buildings in this shot. And presumably this is where they would be. And if we go to the other screenshots, I mean, this is really the only one that you can see anything in the distance, and there's nothing there. It's pretty run down, but I guess you can get an idea of what the city will look like. Again, rundown vehicles, motel with, you know, lights and stuff not working. The other screenshots, we have the drug people. So presumably that's where a lot of legal stuff's going to be, even people selling drugs. So I guess that's going to be what Port Gellhorn's for. There's even the little strip club up here. And then you got the redneck people as well. They're not really showcasing city stuff. The other city is Ambrosia. And again, this one doesn't look like it's going to be a major city at all. I think it's just going to be, you know, a much, much better and bigger version of Sandy Shores from GTA 5. Now, before we look any further, obviously over here, Port Gellhorn is on the left-hand side of the map. It is on this giant bay, so presumably there's going to be maybe some more stuff up here on this top part, but we haven't seen that yet. We do know there's a bridge that goes across, but that's pretty much about it. There is going to be a big airport over here, but at least so far, like I just showed, we don't really see too many big buildings in Port Gellhorn. So maybe they could be there, but maybe not. Who knows? Ambrosia, on the other hand, though, is in the middle of the map. It is actually on Lake Leonida, and we can actually see the lake here in a moment. But this is going to be the third, you know, big city. But I don't even want to call it a city. It's probably just like a town. And one cool thing, they don't have them for every screenshot, but there's a few. If you zoom in very, very close to the on this map, there's these little purple dots, and this is referencing the screenshots. And this particular screenshot right here that you can see is on Lake Leonida, it's looking sort of south. That actually refers to this screenshot. So this is that same location. We're above the lake, like the edges of the lake here, and we're looking south into Ambrosia. And again, you can see it's relatively big. Like there's a lot of lights. It looks like it extends pretty far. It's just not a major metropolitan area. There's not skyscrapers up here or anything like that. I would again compare it to Sandy Shores, but just on a much, much grander scale. And I also really love the lake here. Like if this is just the edges of the lake, obviously, presumably in the middle of the lake, there'll be water that is deep and you won't see grass or trees in it. But I do really like this because it's not just a body of water. It's a body of water that has this like swampy area. It has vegetation growing through it. This is probably very shallow. So maybe you could drive through this. Maybe you could walk through this. I mean, there's trees and stuff growing. So it's very cool. It's very unique for the lake there. And when it comes to Ambrosia, we really also don't have too many more screenshots of it. It does look to be, you know, more redneck stuff. Now, this is actually an interesting one because you can actually see some farmland. It's on fire. But I guess this is what's going to pad out the areas between the towns, between the cities. Like you'll obviously have all the buildings and then eventually you'll hit the farmland, and this is sort of what you'll be driving through. So I think that's a pretty cool little shot there just to get an idea of that. But also, I guess Ambrosia is where the a lot of the biker gangs are. That is also where you can get this lovely little car wash done. But that's all we really know about Ambrosia. So going back to the map here, obviously over here on the right, we have Vice City. We already seen a bunch of stuff on that. But then we get these new cities, the Ambrosia one in the middle, Port Gellhorn over here on the left. That's the general space in this middle part of the map. You go from city to city to city, or I guess maybe big metropolitan city to town to smaller city. Let's just call it. And then as far as the south, all we know, we actually know of this little area, Watson Bay. And this is another one where you can actually see a little screenshot. So you can see all the way down here, bottom left, it's looking towards Vice City. That is this screenshot right here. We are looking above that Watson area into Vice City. And it does look like the city is pretty far away. And unfortunately, that's something, it's hard to judge the scale on a speculative map like this. Because just looking at this, like down here, Watson Bay, it doesn't look that far on this map from Vice City. But then you go back to the picture and it does look like it's going to take a minute to get there, like to drive all the way to Vice City. It might take you, 5-10 minutes to get there unless you got like a jet or something. And then I will just say, like, pretty much this whole southern part of the Grass Rivers area is just speculation. But I mean, it's Everglades. It's swampy. I mean, that's what this is. This is the Grass Rivers area. So it's very muddy, swampy. That's where you're going to see all the animals, the crocs or the alligators, whatever. This is pretty much the southern part of the map. Now, one of the final things I wanted to talk about was actually the airport, because I've seen a lot of people say, like, okay, that's a little crazy. That airport is gigantic. Now, it is red, so it is speculated. At least some parts are. It could get scaled down. It probably will, because, yeah, at the moment, like, just looking at it, it almost looks like the airport is as big as the city itself. And I don't know if Rockstar would do that necessarily. Although, when you do look at GTA 5's map, I mean, the airport down here does take up a pretty good chunk. Like, if you did compare it to the city, it's actually a pretty big area compared to the city. So, this Vice City airport, it might not be that far off. Like, it actually might be pretty gigantic, especially if the city, as we've seen, is gigantic. While we're down here, I did want to talk about the keys real quick. Because just for a comparison's sake, it's looking like to me that driving from the keys down here to the Vice City area is almost like driving from Sandy Shores to Los Santos. I mean, here's the image, or one of the images from the keys, and this is probably midway through the keys. Obviously, the keys are a bunch of different islands, and we're still pretty far away from the city in the distance there. Like, I would say that also would take, 5 to 10 minutes maybe of driving to get all the way back to the city. So that's probably how much you spend driving from Sandy Shores to Los Santos, just to give a frame of reference. And then again, that doesn't include the whole left-hand side and north-hand side of the map. So, that's just one little part there. So if people worried that the map might be too small, it is not going to be too small at all. But then the final thing I just will quickly touch on is all the way up here, Mount Calaga, because this is the only thing really that we know, at least officially, that's up north. Like, in the leaks, we had a couple of things called the Fairyland Forests. There was one called the Red Hill Forest, Domed Hills, I think, maybe, with a railway tunnel. I guess that was in the leaks. But yeah, most of this stuff was from the leaks. The only thing official that we've seen is, of course, Mount Calaga. And this is really the only, like, expansive shot we have of Mount Calaga. And it's only, like, a portion of the mountain. You can see a road down here, but I think this is maybe looking north, because if we were looking south, you would maybe see some city stuff, and I don't see anything in the distance. So unfortunately, this shot doesn't really give us a whole lot to go off of. Now, of course, when it comes to Mount Calaga, this is not in Florida. Like, this is Mount Calaga. This is one of the screenshots from the Mount Calaga section. You cannot find this sort of stuff in Georgia. I believe that this state park or national park, whatever they're calling it in the game, is based off of some state park in Georgia. And we obviously in trailer 2 saw a bunch of different little license plates with Gloriana on it, which is like the Georgia equivalent in the GTA universe. So this map, even though it's supposed to be Florida, actually is going to be taking some inspiration from some of the other states surrounding Florida. And that's why I actually think this speculative idea of, like, the Panhandle actually being just the West Coast makes a lot of sense. If this Leonida map is a condensed version of Florida, that's how they would do it. And who knows, down the line, maybe Rockstar will add more to this map, add more stuff to the north, maybe to the west, to the east, to the south. Who knows if it's islands. Jason Schreier a long time ago said that their plan at Rockstar is actually to have updates over time. Hopefully that's not just online updates. Hopefully that does also include single player. But I think it does make a lot of sense for them to expand down the line into some areas around Florida, because there's a lot of stuff, a lot of interesting stuff, especially down in like the Bahamas or the Caribbean. I mean, we saw a bit of it with Guarma in RDR2, so it would be cool to have something like that down the line in GTA 6. But of course, that is, you know, just some rumors, some speculation. The absolute final thing I'll touch on in this video is this really cool post from Kikas on the GTA forums. This is just a little of what goes into the mapping project and how they figure out all this stuff. But this shot up here at night, he has a couple of things marked in yellow, green, and red, because if we scroll down to that Vice City poster shot, you can actually see those same areas. You can actually see the Ferris wheel in the distance. You can actually see from trailer 1, actually, when Lucia was in the car, she's on this bridge going into the city. Like, that's such a cool perspective to now see. You also have the arena. You can see a bit, I mean, it's not obviously great quality or anything because it's far away, but you can see a bit of the arena also. And obviously in that trailer 1 shot, you could see the arena as well. And here's even another really cool perspective. This island that he has in the yellow and the red, that is apparently this island that we saw this shot of in trailer 1, where you're looking into the or towards the city. And I guess over here on the right, that little island would be where this perspective is taken, or somewhere in that vicinity. But yeah, it's just, it's really cool to get these perspectives from different screenshots here. But that is just a little bit of what, you know, goes into the mapping project. So that is where we're going to end the video. That is everything we know so far about the map. And just looking at it again, look, shout out, if I zoom in here, shout out to all of these people, especially Doopzor, the guy who, you know, primarily made it. But shout out to all these people who did work on it. Like, this is obviously such a great thing, and I cannot wait to see the progress as we learn more and more. But it is speculative at the end of the day. I mean, that's why this little key here has a bunch of speculative little, you know, markers there. So this is a good thing to reference, but I've been seeing far too many people take this as like the definitive edition of the map. And this is what the map is going to look like. But that's not the case at all. And I'm willing to bet in the next version update, this is going to get a massive change. But like I said at the beginning, we'll have to wait and see when that comes out. When that does come out, I'll probably make another video on it and we'll take a look at it. But that is going to do it for today's GTA 6 video. Thank you guys for watching. Please drop it a like if you did enjoy, subscribe for more GTA 6 content. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.